Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are gonna cook something different, something English with the Indian recipe. So this is acorn squash. It is very similar to pumpkin that we get in India. And honestly speaking, I'm a kind of person who loves all these weird veggies because I don't know, maybe it's because my parents always introduced all these veggies in my diet when I was a kid, and I just fell in love with all those. And this is the closest vegetable I can find to pumpkin that we get in India. So I'm gonna experiment with this acorn squash, and then I'm gonna cook it the Indian way. And I'm gonna share the recipe with you because it has come out to be good. So this was an experimental recipe which turned out to be good, and that's why I'm sharing it with you all. So if you live at some place where you can't find pumpkin, like the Indian pumpkin, you can take or pick any of the squash and you can cook it just the same way like you cook your pumpkin. So what I've done is I've taken the squash, I have washed it thoroughly with water, and then I have dried it. And then without peeling the skin, I'm just cutting it. As you can see, it's a little bit hard because it's not fully ripened. It's okay. It's definitely okay because it's gonna cook anyway. So this acorn squash is very rich in antioxidants. It's very good for people who are suffering from arthritis or certain heart diseases. It's a superfruit or super vegetable. Yeah, it's a super vegetable in my opinion. So if you're someone who likes to eat healthy and who likes to cook the English vegetables or the Western vegetables the Indian way, this is the recipe for you. So keep watching. So honestly speaking, this is a very simple yet very yummy recipe. If you make it this way, you are definitely gonna enjoy it. And here as you can see in the video, I'm cutting some green chili, some ginger. I do not use garlic in this recipe because this fruit in itself is a very delicate fruit, and I don't want to spice it up with garlic, So what I've taken here is the spice palette, my usual spice palette, with this particular ingredient which you cannot escape when you're cooking this. So this is called fenugreek seeds or methi dana in Hindi, and these are super amazing when you're cooking this kind of veggie. Now depending on your taste palette, either you can add these cloves or long, or you can totally skip it. And then we have our regular spices like mustard seeds, like coriander seeds, and some jeera or the cumin seeds, and the regular spices, the turmeric, the red chili powder. So first of all, heat a pan or whatever pot you want to cook in, and add a very nice quality cold pressed mustard oil. You can add any kind of other cold pressed oil. So if you're adding mustard oil, just wait for the smoke point, and when the smoke appears, then you can go on and add all these spices. So do add methi dana or fenugreek seeds because they bring in a very yummy and very unique flavor to this dish. So do not skip it. This is the hero ingredient of our dish, right? So let it cook very nicely. Don't worry if it turns. Now quickly add cumin seeds followed by fenugreek seeds, and add in your green chili and ginger. So let it cook for a while. Add a little bit of turmeric powder, and then I would definitely gonna add all these squash pieces to this, and I'm gonna put a lid on so that all this steam that is coming out of the pot is captured, and which helps to retain the flavors and also helps it soften a little bit because it's really hot, right? So after few seconds, just check it out and just mix everything together. You can see the turmeric has mixed very well with the oil and is looking fabulous. This golden turmeric color it's just gorgeous, right? And yeah, just mix it and follow the steps as shown in the video. So the kind of oil that we use for cooking makes a hell lot of difference. So I always recommend using a very nice, healthy, highly saturated fat content oil, because that is not just healthy but also enhances the taste of the cuisine that you're preparing. So this squash really tastes very nice when you eat it with puri, so the deep fried breads. They're called puri in Hindi, and they taste amazing with this kind of side dish, or sabzi we call it in Hindi. So in the meanwhile time, when I'm just keeping an eye on my squash when it's getting cooked, I'm preparing the dough. So I have just taken the wheat flour and I'm gonna add a little bit of carom seeds to it, because carom seeds make sure that you have a very easy digestion. Then I'm gonna add just a little bit of crushed red chilies, because I like it a little bit spicy. I honestly does not add that much spice to it. Of course, a little bit of salt, because without salt nothing tastes good. So after mixing up everything with water, we are gonna make a semi-stuffed dough. And you know what, a tragedy happened. I forgot to press the recording button. That's sad. Anyway, so I made a dough like this. I used minimalistic water. You don't have to add a lot of water, because this kind of dough for puri has to be a little bit stiff. And you have to really do a quality control in this dough, because if you add so much of water, the quality of the dough won't be as good as it should be for puri. So I've made a dough with whatever the moisture I had with water, and then I have covered it, and then I've kept it aside. And meanwhile, I'm coming and checking my veggies, which are looking good. So my squash has cooked really nicely. I would cook it a little extra because I want it a little bit mushy. If you don't like mushy, you can just leave it like this, add a little bit of sugar and enjoy it just like that. But today I'm gonna make something different. So I'm gonna make squash in curd. So it is the sour squash. So I'm gonna take a little bit of curd, I'm gonna dilute it in water, and then you know what, I'm just gonna add this diluted curd to this squash that we prepared. But before I add, I will just check for the salt, and I would check for the spices. I think a little bit of red chili is required, so I added a little bit of red chili. And now I'm gonna add my magic ingredient that I always add just a little bit quantity to all my spicy dishes. That is sugar. Yes, you guessed it right, it's sugar. And it always helps enhance the flavors of the dish. And now is the time that I add this beautiful curd mixture. You can also call it buttermilk. If you have buttermilk, you can go ahead with that. And you can just add it to your squash curry, and then just let it cook nicely. Give it a nice mix. You will notice the beautiful color appears in the curry after like few minutes of cooking. So wait patiently, keep mixing, and just watch the magic happen. So as you can see, my curry is looking absolutely gorgeous. I love it. And this is also called khatti kaddu ki sabzi in Hindi, which is a very, very famous recipe from Central India, and I love it a lot. So yeah, finally adding just a pinch of garam masala to balance the mildness of the curd and to add some fragrance in the curry. And this I always add at the end when the cooking has been completely done. So I always add just in the end a little bit of garam masala, and then some garnishing elements or some herbs if you want to add. I always like to add a little bit of coriander. It always goes nice with Indian cooking. So add a little bit of coriander, and then we are good to go. Look at this beautiful, gorgeous squash curry. English squash, the Indian way. And now is the time to check for our dough that we kept. And let's begin frying our puris. Yeah, so puri and this kind of veggie taste awesome. So I have taken cold press olive oil. I always do all kind of deep frying, shallow frying, every kind of frying in olive oil or mustard oil or sesame oil. Whatever is convenient for you, you can take that kind of oil. I always recommend using cold press oil because I want you to stay healthy. And here I'm prepping up my dough. I'm gonna divide it in equal pieces so that I can roll and I can make puris out of it. And just follow up the video and you will see how I'm making these puris. I'm just rolling and just frying. It's no big science. It's just a kind of technique that we all need to learn. So when we are frying puri, especially when you do not have proper utensils and flame, you have to be very, very careful in frying puris. Otherwise, these puris can remain raw, which is not good. So make sure that puri is cooked thoroughly from all the sides. There is nothing raw in it. So yeah, like this, you have to fry your puris and just take it out on a tissue paper so that it absorbs the extra oil that it has. And similarly proceed with other puris. And now let me show you how to roll a perfect puri. So for rolling a perfect puri, you have to have a perfect dough. And the perfect dough, how would you have that? So the perfect dough is when you do not have to add extra flour to it to dry it, or you do not have to add any kind of extra greasy thing or oil to it to smoothen it. And this is how you have to roll it, just flipping it over and over after each rolling. So the thickness of the puri is really important. If your puris are very thin, they will turn very crispy. If you want soft puris, you have to make it a little bit thicker. Yeah, so go ahead and fry it in a perfectly hot oil. Your oil has to be perfectly hot, otherwise your puris won't be turning soft. They will instead turn crispy, which we don't want. So I'm gonna repeat this procedure for every puri I want to fry, and I'm gonna collect it. And I do not like to cover my puris when they're hot, otherwise they can become soggy. So yeah, do it like that and then fry it and then have your awesome puris ready. And let's move on to plating now. So I have served puris with squash curry and a homemade self-cooked blueberry lemon cake, and it's looking amazing. Let me show you how the curry looks. Isn't it looking amazing? It's really tasting awesome. And look at these puris. I am in love with these puris. They're a perfect treat for a weekend when you're stressed out. And look at this cake. For the first time, a cake turned so good. Isn't it looking gorgeous? Do tell me if you want the recipe for it. And here is how my plate looks. I hope you enjoyed the video. Do try it and do let me know. Thank you so much for being here. Bye-bye.